Today is an historic day. 92 years ago, women gained the right to vote. I and the other women here are thankful that the work done almost a century ago continues to benefit all of us, that we have the chance to vote for my dad. Today, Angus and I stand with women everywhere, as this week we celebrate the ratification of the 19th Amendment and the women's right to vote. So, in the words of Angus King, finally, it is my privilege to introduce my father and U.S. Senate candidate, Angus King.
The real historic change of the 20th century is the opening of the culture, society, politics, business of the United States to women, one half of the human race. Affordable health care, reproductive freedom, freedom from violence also have to be in place. I'm articulating 5 priorities. The first is the reauthorization of what's called TANF, Temporary Aid for Needy Families. The surest route out of poverty and welfare is education and a job. There is nothing like education to change the entire trajectory of a family in one generation.
Good morning. My name is Heidi Hart, and I'm an attorney practicing with a firm in Maine with offices in Portland and Bangor. I was also raised on welfare. I was a teenage mother and a welfare recipient myself after my first daughter was born. And I am so grateful that Maine, during Angus's administration, created the PASS program. Because of the PASS program, I was able to attain long-term self-sufficiency and provide a better future for my daughter, who benefited from seeing firsthand the value of education and is now a college student herself. And I am proud to support Angus King, who I am confident will carry on this model of common sense welfare reform. Thank you.
Number 1, TANF. Number 2, domestic violence. We should have zero tolerance for domestic violence. There is never any excuse for hitting a kid or a woman. Reproductive rights. I see a woman's right to choose in these circumstances as a fundamental human right of women. Number 1, I think this is a matter between a woman and her physician. It's not the job of the government to interfere in that situation. And secondly, I feel that abortion should be safe, legal, and rare. Okay, number 4 is women in business. And this is one of the great changes in our economy. But the opportunities now are significantly greater than they ever were in the past, and our society is definitely the richer for it.
I support Angus's campaign because I believe he represents the possibility of change in the way our country is governed in a progressive manner. We need a senator who's able to cross party lines and work in a bipartisan manner, the same way Angus did when he was able to forge a compromise that eliminated a loophole in the workmen's compensation law. This compromise rescued employers from a huge increase in annual costs. I know he had a great track record supporting businesses in Maine while he was our governor, and I know he'll do the same for businesses all over the country as our next state senator.
Finally, number 5, elders in poverty. This one's really simple. I will oppose with every fiber of my being any effort to privatize Social Security or voucherize Medicare.
My grandmother gave her son, and my mother and I lost my dad. And my dad knew the reason. The reason was our freedom. And that freedom that we enjoy is no more palpable and personal than when you step behind the curtain that day to vote. To get to decide who will lead us and who will speak for us. That privilege is ours. Please join me in the privilege of voting for Angus